Welcome back to our channel, World Coins History. As you knew that old is gold, but these rare $quarter coins that are most valuable than you think, don't spend one of them, so please watch complete video and find your treasure. Let's start this. Top 1. Today, we're taking a closer look at a coin that you might have sitting in a drawer or jar somewhere, and you'll want to hold on to your seats, because it's a piece of American history that could be worth a small fortune. Let's talk about the United States Bicentennial Quarter, dated 1776 to 1976. Now, at first glance, it might look like just another quarter. Maybe you've even used one to buy a gumball or drop it in a parking meter. But if you've got the right version of this coin, with some very specific and rare characteristics, it could turn out to be one of the most valuable coins in your collection. Let's rewind for a moment. In 1976, America celebrated 200 years of independence, the Bicentennial. To honor the occasion, the U.S. Mint did something truly special. They released a commemorative series of coins, including the quarter, half dollar, and dollar, each bearing a unique reverse design. The quarter, instead of the familiar eagle, featured a colonial drummer and a torch surrounded by 13 stars, symbolizing the original 13 colonies. It was patriotic, bold, and instantly iconic. But here's where it gets really interesting for collectors. Most of these bicentennial quarters were made from a standard copper nickel clad and entered wide circulation. Millions were struck. So yes, most of them aren't rare, at least not yet. But there's a hidden world of rarities and minting errors that turn an everyday quarter into an eye-popping treasure. One of the rarest types is the silver-clad bicentennial quarter, which was only issued in special collector sets. These contain 40% silver instead of the usual clad metal. But even among those, some have deep cameo finishes, proof strikes, or exceptional preservation. And then, there are the errors that we're talking about: double die obverse, off-center strikes, missing mint marks, and planchet errors. One famous example is a bicentennial quarter with a double die on the drummer's hands and the drumsticks, giving the design a shadowy, almost ghost-like double image. It's subtle, but experts can spot it right away, and it skyrockets the coin's value. Collectors love these kinds of anomalies because they tell a story. They're snapshots of imperfection in a system that's supposed to be perfect. And let's face it, there's something thrilling about holding a coin in your hand that might just be one of a kind. Condition matters, too. A 1776 to 1976 quarter in your pocket is fun, sure, but a proof quality, uncirculated, or mint error bicentennial quarter? That's a collector's dream. Some of these coins are graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC and receive top marks, mint state 68, 69, even 70. These are the coins that go under the hammer at elite auctions, and the final bid will make your jaw drop. So what's the real value of one of these rare bicentennial quarters? Hold on to your hats, because one extremely rare 1776 to 1976 quarter, with a unique error and in pristine condition, was once sold for a jaw-dropping $89,000. Yes, you heard that right. $89,000. So the next time you're sifting through spare change or cracking open that old coin album from your grandparents, don't overlook the bicentennial quarter. It's more than just a celebration of America's past. For collectors, it could be the key to an incredible discovery. Top 2, we spotlight coin is a perfect example. It's a coin so common that many people have held it, spent it, or ignored it. But if you've got the right one, it could be worth a small fortune. Let's talk about the United States quarter dollar from 1983. Now before you go thinking, 1983? That's not even that old. You're absolutely right. But here's the thing, it's not always about age. Sometimes, value is about scarcity, mistakes, and condition. And the 1983 quarter? It checks all those boxes for the right collector. Let's rewind to the early 80s. The U.S. Mint was pumping out coins for circulation, and in 1983, they skipped making mint sets for the public. That's important, because it means collectors didn't have access to high-quality, uncirculated coins directly from the mint. So the only 1983 quarters out there? The ones that went straight into circulation, into pockets, vending machines, cash registers, and car wash quarters. And guess what that means? finding a 1983 quarter in pristine, untouched, mint state condition is almost like finding a unicorn. Most of these coins have been through years of wear and tear. So when a collector finds one that's flawless, sharp strike, no scratches, glowing luster, it becomes a rare prize, but the excitement doesn't stop there. Oh no. Let's talk about errors, those happy little minting mistakes that collectors go crazy for. The 1983 Washington quarter has produced a few legendary error varieties. One of the most famous is the double die reverse. On this rare error, you can spot doubling on the word e pluribus unum and other lettering. It's subtle, but once you know what to look for, it's unmistakable, and incredibly valuable. Then there are off-center strikes, clipped planchets, and coins struck on the wrong metal, each error a little window into the chaos of the minting process, and each one a possible jackpot for collectors. Even the metal of the 1983 quarter is important. Most quarters from this time were made from a copper-nickel-clad composition, but every so often, you'll find one struck on a different planchet, possibly leftover from another denomination. These are exceptionally rare and heavily desired by experts. Now, let's talk grading. If you ever get your hands on a 1983 quarter that looks cleaner, shinier, and sharper than the rest, send it for grading immediately. If it comes back with a high mint state grade, especially anything above MS65, you've got something special. And if it includes one of those rare minting errors or was struck in an unusual way, you're talking next level value. You might think, okay, but how much could a single quarter really be worth? Well, here it is, the moment you've been waiting for, because one rare 1983 Washington quarter, in superb condition with unique minting characteristics, was sold for an incredible $56,000. Yes, you heard that right. $56,000, for a single quarter that someone once probably used to buy a soda. So take another look at that change jar. Go through that coin collection you inherited from your grandparents. That 1983 quarter you've ignored for years? It might just be the golden needle in a haystack. Top 3, we're about to talk about might be hiding in plain sight, and it could be worth far more than you ever imagined. We're diving into the mysterious world of the 1986 United States quarter dollar, a coin so ordinary at first glance, yet packed with secrets that make it a collector's dream. Now, here's the thing. 1986 wasn't a year of any major redesign. There was no special commemorative program that made headlines. No flashy silver versions released to the public. But that's exactly what makes this coin so fascinating. Because unlike more obvious collectible coins, the 1986 quarter doesn't shout its value from the rooftops. It whispers it, quietly, to the collectors who know exactly what to listen for. Let's start with the basics. The obverse of the 1986 quarter features the familiar profile of George Washington, a design introduced back in 1932. On the reverse, the iconic eagle, wings spread, clutching arrows, perched proudly above olive branches. A symbol of strength, peace, and American heritage. Millions of these coins were minted, over 550 million from Philadelphia and nearly 520 million from Denver. That's a lot of quarters, right? So you might be thinking, how can something so common become so incredibly valuable? Well, the magic lies in condition, rarity, and minting errors, the holy trinity of coin collecting. You see, most of those 500 million coins were spent. Tossed into pockets, dropped on sidewalks, slid into arcade machines. They were handled roughly, worn down, and forgotten. Finding a 1986 quarter in flawless, mint state condition, especially graded above MS67, is exceptionally rare. These coins were never included in mint sets that year, which makes pristine examples even more difficult to find, but where it gets even more exciting is with the error coins. Every so often, something goes wrong during the minting process. And when it does, the result can be a rare and valuable mistake that sends collectors into a frenzy. Some of the most valuable 1986 quarter errors include double die strikes, where the design is stamped twice slightly off-center, causing a ghost-like doubling in the text or features. These errors are most noticeable in the words, "Liberty," or, "In God We Trust," or in the fine feathers of the eagle's wings. Another rare error is the off-center strike, where the coin is not properly aligned when struck, leaving part of the design missing. And then there are clipped planchets, where a portion of the coin is literally missing because of a flaw in the blank metal disc before it was struck, but perhaps the most coveted error of all is a wrong planchet strike, a quarter mistakenly struck on a dime or foreign coin blank. These coins are thinner, sometimes lighter, and have a very distinct ring when dropped. Their rarity makes them incredibly desirable, and their prices? Let's just say they're not what you'd expect for a 25-cent piece. Now, if you're holding onto a 1986 quarter that looks unusually sharp, has a deep luster, or just seems a little different from the rest, do not spend it. Get it evaluated by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. A high-grade or error coin could be worth more than just a few bucks. Much, much more. And now, the moment you've been waiting for. One of the rarest 1986 quarters, an uncirculated, mint-condition coin with a rare error, was once sold for an astonishing $53,000, yes. You heard that right. $53,000, for a single quarter that someone could have easily spent without a second thought. It's the thrill of the hunt. The excitement of spotting something others miss. The possibility that hidden among your loose change, or inside an old coin jar at your grandparents' house, lies a coin with the power to surprise, delight, and maybe even change your life. So next time you come across a 1986 quarter, look closer. You never know what secrets that small, shiny piece of metal might be hiding. Top 4, you're about to discover how a simple, ordinary-looking quarter from the year 1978 could be hiding something far more extraordinary than you ever imagined. So, before you toss that old change into a vending machine, listen closely, because one of those quarters could be worth thousands. And I mean thousands. Let's talk about the 1978 United States quarter dollar. Now, at first glance, this coin seems like nothing special. It features George Washington on the front, just like every quarter has since 1932. On the reverse, there's the iconic American eagle, wings spread wide, arrows in its claws, perched on a bundle of olive branches. Classic, timeless, and deeply rooted in American symbolism. Over 1.6 billion of these quarters were minted in 1978, yes, billion with a B, from both the Philadelphia and Denver mints. So it's easy to assume that a coin so widely produced couldn't possibly be rare, right? Well, not so fast. Because what makes certain 1978 quarters stand out isn't just how many were made, but how few survived in pristine condition, and how even fewer were struck with errors so unique, they've become legends in the world of numismatics. Let's start with condition. Most 1978 quarters were used daily, passed from hand to hand, dropped in parking lots, jammed into pay phones, and forgotten in kitchen drawers. Finding one in near-perfect, mint state condition, especially graded MS-67 or higher, is extremely rare. The coins from this year were not released in official U.S. mint sets, which means collectors never had access to fresh, untouched examples from the source. Any surviving uncirculated quarters had to be saved directly from circulation, something most people simply didn't do. And now, let's dive into the world of minting errors, the real heart of what turns a 25-cent coin into a collector's fantasy. Some of the rarest 1978 quarters have been found with a double die obverse, where the text or image appears slightly duplicated due to a misalignment during the striking process. You'll notice it especially in words like liberty, in God we trust, or even in the date. This subtle mistake is a big deal for collectors, because it proves that even the most tightly controlled minting process can go unexpectedly wrong. There are also off-center strikes, where the coin is not properly aligned during the press. These coins are instantly recognizable, they look like a bite was taken out of the design. The more off-center it is while still showing the date and some design, the more valuable it becomes. And don't forget the ever-coveted wrong planchet errors, where the quarter is struck on a coin blank meant for another denomination or even another country. These errors are like hidden Easter eggs in the world of coin collecting, and they command top dollar at auctions due to their rarity and uniqueness. Even a simple missing mint mark on a 1978 quarter can dramatically increase its value, especially when it can be authenticated as a true mint error and not post-mint damage. But it's not just errors that drive the value up, it's also about timing, history, and supply. Coins from transitional years or with lower quality control often become prime targets for collectors in the know. And 1978 sits right in the middle of such a transitional period in American coinage, just before the massive changes that would come in the 1980s, when demand, materials, and minting practices started to shift. So if you've got a 1978 quarter, whether it came from your childhood piggy bank, a garage sale, or tucked away in your grandfather's drawer, take a closer look. Look for sharp details, full rims, original luster, and especially for any design abnormalities. If it looks different, it could be worth getting professionally graded. And now, let's answer the question you've all been waiting for: how much could one of these rare 1978 quarters actually be worth? Well, one incredibly rare specimen, a 1978 Washington quarter with a combination of stunning condition, rare minting features, and collector-grade appeal, was once sold for a staggering $87,000. Yes, you heard that right. $87,000 for one quarter. That's the kind of find that makes collectors' hearts race. The kind of story that starts with a coin nobody noticed, and ends with a life-changing surprise. So if you've got a box of coins lying around, or you've ever thought about getting into the hobby, now's the time. Because the next hidden gem might be sitting right under your nose, and it might be a 1978 quarter with a story worth thousands. Top 5, we're about to uncover the incredible story behind a coin you might have in your pocket right now. It's not shiny, it's not fancy, and it's not part of some limited edition. But if you've got the right one, you could be looking at a small fortune. Let's talk about the 1991 United States quarter dollar. At first glance, this coin might seem like just another everyday quarter. You've probably seen it hundreds of times. George Washington on the front, eagle on the back, just like it's been since 1932. So what makes the 1991 quarter special? That's where the magic begins. This coin was minted during a time when the US Mint was churning out coins at high speed. In fact, over 1 billion quarters were struck in 1991, nearly 570 million in Philadelphia and another 630 million in Denver. That means this coin was everywhere, used in payphones, laundromats, video arcades, and parking meters. But with so many in circulation, how could any 1991 quarter possibly be rare? The answer comes down to two things: perfection and mistakes. Let's start with perfection. A quarter that survived from 1991 in mint state condition, we're talking flawless surfaces, sharp details, full original luster, is a serious rarity. Most of these coins have been scratched, worn down, bent, or beaten by years of daily use. So finding one that looks like it just left the mint floor? That's already a major win for collectors. But now let's talk about the real treasures, the errors. The 1991 quarter is known to have several types of rare and highly collectible minting errors, and it's these imperfections that can turn a 25-cent coin into a prized showpiece. One of the most fascinating is the double die error, where the coin's design is accidentally stamped twice by the minting press, slightly off from the first strike. You might notice doubling in the letters Liberty or In God We Trust, or even in the date itself. These kinds of errors are subtle, but they're like gold to serious collectors. Then there are the off-center strikes, where the coin isn't properly aligned during production. This results in a design that's shifted to one side, leaving parts of the surface blank or incomplete. The more dramatic the shift, the rarer and more valuable the coin becomes, especially if the date is still visible. Next up, clipped planchets. This error happens when a piece of metal is improperly cut, leaving a chunk missing from the edge of the coin. It looks like someone took a bite out of it, but it's 100% mint-made and 100% collectible. But perhaps the most exciting type of error is the wrong planchet strike. That's when a quarter is mistakenly struck on a planchet meant for another coin, like a dime, penny, or even a foreign currency. These mix-ups are incredibly rare and highly sought after, often commanding thousands of dollars in auctions. And let's not forget, grading plays a huge role. Coins that are authenticated and graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC, especially those graded MS67 or higher, can fetch much higher prices. Combine a mint state grade with a known error, and you've got a coin that's not just valuable, it's elite. So, what's the payoff? What's the true value of one of these rare, error-marked, pristine 1991 quarters? Well, hang on to your hats, because you're going to want to check your coin jars after this point. One of the rarest 1991 quarters, featuring a dramatic minting error and preserved in immaculate condition, was once sold for an unbelievable $83,000. Yes, you heard that right. $83,000. For a single quarter. That's more than most cars on the road. More than a down payment on a house. All hiding in a coin that most people would never give a second glance. So here's the takeaway: coin collecting isn't just about history. It's about discovery. It's about knowing that even the smallest, most ordinary-looking object might be worth a fortune if you know what to look for. So grab your change jar, flip through your old coins, and take a second look at those quarters, especially the ones from 1991. You just might be holding something extraordinary. Top 6. We're diving deep into the story of a coin that most people overlook, but the lucky few who recognize its value know it's anything but ordinary. Get ready, because the 1988 United States quarter dollar might just be hiding in your change jar, and if you find the right one, it could be worth a small fortune. Let's take a closer look. Now, on the surface, the 1988 quarter looks like any other you've seen. It features the familiar portrait of George Washington on the front, stoic, strong, and proud, just like he's appeared since 1932. On the reverse, you'll find the traditional eagle design, wings outstretched, perched on a bundle of arrows with olive branches below. Nothing fancy, right? But here's where things get very interesting. In 1988, the U.S. Mint struck over 1 billion quarters, about 562 million from Philadelphia, and another 596 million from the Denver Mint. That's a lot of coins. But here's the twist: only a tiny fraction of those were struck with the kind of precision, quality, or error that would make them stand out to collectors. And that's where the treasure is hiding, because not all coins are created equal. Let's talk about rarity through condition. Most 1988 quarters entered circulation immediately, used in gas stations, arcades, laundromats, and vending machines. Over time, these coins were nicked, scratched, faded, and forgotten. So when a coin survives from 1988 in mint state condition, we're talking uncirculated, with full luster and no damage, it becomes extremely rare. Now add in the possibility of a mint error, and you've got something that gets collectors' hearts racing. What kind of errors are we talking about? Let's start with the double die obverse, a rare minting error where the design is struck twice by the press, but not perfectly aligned. The result? Slight doubling in key features like the date, the word liberty, or the motto, "In God We Trust." This kind of doubling is subtle, but unmistakable to trained eyes. And it instantly increases the coin's value. Next up is the off-center strike. This happens when the coin blank isn't perfectly positioned during minting, causing the design to appear shifted or incomplete. The more dramatic the misalignment, while still showing a clear date, the more desirable the coin becomes. Then we have clipped planchets, where a portion of the coin is literally missing because the blank was improperly cut. These coins look like they've been bitten by a shark, but don't worry, if it's a true mint error, it's actually worth more, not less. And don't forget the holy grail of modern minting mistakes, the wrong planchet error. This is when a quarter is struck on a coin blank intended for another denomination, like a dime, penny, or even a foreign coin. These mistakes are incredibly rare, and often fetch top dollar at auctions due to their uniqueness. Now here's something most people overlook: missing mint marks. A 1988 quarter with a missing P or D mark, when verified as a true minting oversight, could be a highly desirable error piece, especially if it's coupled with a pristine condition. But it's not just about the error. The condition, as graded by professionals at PCGS or NGC, is just as important. A regular 1988 quarter in rough shape might be worth only face value, but that same coin in mint state 67 or higher, especially with an error? That's where the real money is. So the big question: how much could one of these rare 1988 quarters be worth? Well, this is the moment you've been waiting for, because one incredible 1988 Washington quarter, featuring a rare minting error and preserved in nearly flawless, uncirculated condition, was once sold for a jaw-dropping $74,000, yes, $74,000. For a single quarter. And the best part? Coins like this are still out there. Hiding in collections, in old change jars, in the bottom of drawers where no one's looked in years. Waiting to be discovered by someone who knows what they're looking for, maybe someone like you. So the next time you come across a 1988 quarter, don't pass it up. Look closely. Check for errors. Examine its condition. Because you never know, the next great discovery could be sitting right in the palm of your hand. Top 7 and last rare coin, we're diving into the mysterious and surprisingly valuable world of the 1974 United States quarter dollar, a coin that's been passed through millions of hands over the years, but very few people realize it could be worth more than a luxury car. Yes, this humble little 25-cent piece from 1974 might just be one of the most valuable coins sitting unnoticed in someone's drawer, piggy bank, or coin jar right now. And today, we're going to uncover why. Let's begin with a quick look at the design. Like most Washington quarters minted between 1932 and 1998, the 1974 quarter features the iconic profile of George Washington on the obverse, a stoic expression, the word liberty above, and in God we trust etched to the left. Flip it over, and you'll see a powerful bald eagle on the reverse, wings spread, perched on a bundle of arrows, a bold symbol of strength and American heritage. So what makes this everyday coin extraordinary? Well, in 1974, the U.S. Mint struck over 800 million quarters, about 353 million from the Philadelphia Mint, which bears no mint mark, and around 801 million from the Denver Mint, marked with a small d just to the right of Washington's ponytail. With numbers like that, you'd think this coin would be common. And in most cases, you'd be right, but here's where things get interesting. Not all coins are created equal, and the real value of a 1974 quarter lies in its condition, errors, and rarity. Let's start with condition. A majority of these coins were circulated widely. That means worn edges, scratches, discoloration, and general wear and tear. But a 1974 quarter that's managed to stay in mint state, untouched by circulation and graded MS-67 or higher by professional services like PCGS or NGC? Now that's a rare find, and already more valuable than you might think, but the real magic happens when a rare minting error comes into play. One of the most desirable types of error found on some 1974 quarters is the double die obverse. This happens when the coin is struck twice by the die, slightly off from the first strike. The result? A ghostly doubling effect in the letters, Liberty, In God We Trust, or even the date itself. It's subtle, but unmistakable, and extremely sought after by collectors. Another valuable error is the off-center strike. This occurs when the coin blank isn't properly aligned in the press. Depending on how far off-center the design is, and as long as the date is still visible, these coins can skyrocket in value. There's also the clipped planchet error, which leaves a visible chunk missing from the coin's edge. These mistakes are rare and add uniqueness. The more dramatic the clip, the more appealing the coin, but perhaps the most exciting error of all is when a 1974 quarter is struck on the wrong planchet. Imagine a quarter-sized design accidentally struck on a blank meant for a dime, a penny, or even a foreign coin. These coins are instantly noticeable due to their strange color, weight, or thickness, and they're extremely valuable. Another detail to watch for: the missing mint mark. While it's normal for Philadelphia minted coins to lack a mint mark, if you find a Denver minted coin, which should have a D, missing its mint mark entirely, and it's confirmed as a mint error, you could be holding onto something quite rare. And here's the thing, many of these errors are easy to miss unless you know exactly what to look for. That's what makes discovering one so thrilling. It could be hiding in plain sight, just waiting for someone like you to recognize its true value. Now, let's talk numbers. You might be wondering, what's the actual value of one of these rare 1974 quarters? Well, if you happen to have a 1974 Washington quarter in mint state condition, combined with a dramatic error, like a double die or wrong planchet strike, you could be looking at a coin that's not just rare, but exceptionally desirable to collectors. And now, the moment you've been waiting for. One such coin, a 1974 quarter with a verified mint error and graded at a top-tier condition, was once sold for an unbelievable $83,000. Yes. That's $83,000 for a single quarter. Think about that for a moment. A coin most people would spend without a second thought, could be worth enough to buy a luxury vehicle, take a dream vacation, or put a down payment on a house. So, the next time you come across a quarter, especially one from 1974, pause for a moment. Look closer. Examine the lettering, the alignment, the edges. That coin in your hand might just be more than a piece of spare change. It could be a hidden treasure. Thank you for joining us today. If you love these deep dives into the world of rare and valuable coins, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and tap the notification bell so you never miss another chance to discover hidden value right under your nose. Drop a comment below if you've ever found an unusual or rare coin, or if you're about to go check your collection right now. Until next time, happy collecting, and remember, sometimes the smallest things hold the biggest surprises.